yati mithyabhutamidam jagat rajjugyanat yatha sarpah mithyarupo nivartate atmagyanat tatha yati mithyabhutamidam jagat. Just look, that time this universe will falsify. The universe will no more appear in front of you as a reality. Or you can say that the erroneous notion that you have towards this universe as real, that will falsify when there is the knowledge of self. And it gives the same example. How? It says, Rajju Jnanat Yatha Sarpha. So once you know the knowledge of rope, once this knowledge of rope takes place in you, it is being obtained, then what happens? You don't have to, kill the rope. You don't have to burn the rope or your snake, whatever, projected snake. You don't have to do anything. Let that particular snake lie down. In fact, you discover there is no more snake. In fact, you will try to say, how could I imagine that this is snake? Hey, look. Oh, this is what happens. Without my knowledge, okay. Now you will be able to try to say this is what one should do it. Do you know how you projected? Go back to your projected world. So why did you project such a big one? Oh, because I had seen this big snake in somewhere in the television. And I have heard a lot about snake problem. And thirdly, actually someone was dead in our family or nearby family. If not this life, some other life, don't worry. So subconscious mind, how it picks up and projects, that's a lot of issues are there also. Now when you try to visualize that, then you try to see, now you are awake. Even if you are awake, still you need to relate carefully. Making sure that you are going forth and back. Try to understand that. Then what will happen is, anytime, even if a real snake lies down, this is the most important thing happens. Even if a real snake lies down, you will not ignore. You will not jump. Neither you will ignore nor you will jump. Okay, if the snake is lying down, let me handle. That should be the understanding, that should be the attitude. Whereas without seeing the snake properly, just imagine that there is snake, we jump. If this example is not clear, just look at this world, especially your projected world. All this thing is being projected. And the moment you start projecting, whether you like it or not, you are completely buried in your projected world. That's why you need atmosphere, you need everything. I'll give you a beautiful example from me. It's like, yesterday's example I can give you. As usual, Ranjan gave some coffee, that too late, very late. So I had some extra coffee yesterday. And you know very well, late evening coffee, and that too, many cups of coffee in one day. Night I could not sleep. Imagine how this food creates. I tried my best to sleep. I could not. Then one thought came, okay, better to go and start working and do this, all this translation part and look at the things. Type it. Then mind said, look, if you get into typing mode, I am sure whole night will go away. Please don't do it. Better, doesn't matter. Lie down, do this, do that, then slowly sleep, make up. Now, imagine during that time, it becomes very natural and spontaneous, mind to wander, mind to go here and there. Suppose I start projecting there. Now for example, let us say, now this corona is going on, just example sake I am saying. Corona is going on there. Somebody sends the message in the, let us say in Facebook or somewhere, says, look, the first symptom of corona is night you will not get sleep. Remember this is example, okay? Different type of messages are going on. These are the symptoms. Everybody has become doctor now. So the first symptom is you will not get sleep few nights. The sleep will be disturbed, let us say. Now what will happen? Now night what I will do? Will I think of corona or not? Yeah, now lockdown is open. Now I will try to see all related logics. Yes, now lockdown is open, everything is open, now people are here. In fact, I am going to this ashram, there is a quarantine center. Even though I don't meet anybody, I am away from them, maybe something might have happened, this, that, blah, blah, blah. So can you see how this projection happens in our life? So that's why it says beautifully, the knowledge of rope to be obtained carefully, that is the most important aspect. That is how the knowledge of self is to be really understood carefully. Then only the projection that we have, or you can say the value that we have added to this universe, definitely will falsify. Let us look at the next verse. Ropya bhrantiriyam yati shukti jnanat yatha khalo jagat bhrantiriyam yati chatma jnanat sada tatha ropya bhrantiriyam yati shukti jnanat yatha khalo jagat bhrantiriyam yati chatma jnanat sada tatha. Says same thing, different way. So if you look at same thing, that when the knowledge of this mother of pearl is obtained, so that means what? The moment you see this cell is lying down, then what happens? The erroneous notion of being silver does not remain. So also, through this self-knowledge, the world appears just a illusion or delusion. So it gives both the example. The first example with reference to our fear, other example is with reference to our achievement, with reference to our proving attitude or successful thinking. So both way, as I gave you that example, my personal example is sleeping, the corona fear. Here also you can give another example. Let us say you can see for yourself when small thing happens, how you really add or you do the value addition without your knowledge. So all these things, in reality, what you see is not there. But always you see what is there in your mind. If you start seeing what is there, absolutely no problem. But we say beautifully, that's why, as the Srishti, accordingly Drushti should be there. So based on the creation, whatever in the outside world, accordingly you are supposed to see. Your vision should be that. But what happens? As your vision is based on the Srishti, the creation. So that means you don't see what is there, but you see what is in your mind. In fact, what you see is just reflection of your own projection. He gives a beautiful example. This example, in fact, to be very honest, I have never known, I have never seen in my life. So that's why I cannot verify with this example, but it's a very unique example. Verse number 42. Yatha vamso raga bhranti bhaved ve kavasanjana tatha jagadidam bhranti abhyasa kalpananjanat. यथा वंशोरगभ्रान्तिः भवेत् वेक्कवसाञ्जना तथा जगदिदं भ्रान्तिः अभ्यासकल्पनाञ्जना. Says beautifully. These two things we have to look at. The example is being given. So a man, a person, besmears his eyelid. Some people they say in the eye, a drop made up of this collyrium prepared from the fat of frog. So one type of particular thing if they make it. So you apply on your eyes. So the moment you apply on the eyes, or sometimes they say eyelid, because which I have never seen, so that's why I cannot verify with you people, to be very honest. So it says that once you apply that, the bamboo appears like a serpent. So means bamboo is straight, but instead of straight vision, you feel as though the snake, how it is like this. So the bamboo, the straightness, the steadiness of the object goes away, but as though it keeps moving. That means your vision gets really changed that particular moment. This is the example. So please, which I have not verified, which I have not seen, I cannot. This is the example is being given. So also it says, Tatha jagadidam bhranti abhyasa kalpana anjana. That's a beautiful concept has been brought. So how you make that and why make it, that is different thing altogether. How you apply your, like inside the eyelid, some types of this thing. So he says abhyasa kalpana anjanat. So anjanat means anjana means we say that a black thing. Okay, jnananjakam. So with the stick we try to apply inside. So he says there are two types of here things you apply. So what are they? One is abhyasa, habit. Second one is kalpana, your imagination. So he says beautifully, when your thinking faculty, so they are when the eyes are being covered with that, so the steady one, the bamboo which is straight standing, looks like it's keep moving like a snake. So the vision completely changes. So also here, if your thinking faculty is being covered with your habits, with your imagination, definitely what happened? The world will appear to be real. Just to see yourself. Whatever you do, all your functionings, all your approach, is it not based on habits and imagination? So whatever habit you have picked up, the way you imagine, these two things, even though they are interconnected, because of habit, imagination comes, because of imagination you continue same thing and the habit, it becomes a habit. And anything that you do or anything you look at, these two are always involved. So that's why the point here is being highlighted. Whenever you are seeing something, try to withdraw, try to look at your habit and imagination. Make sure, this is called understanding, make sure that your habit and imagination must not interfere with the present vision, with the present situation. Because whatever you see, this is the point is being communicated here. All these things that appears as true or appears differently, or any confusion that you have in your day-to-day life, always it is influenced by your own habits and imagination. And of course, when your thinking faculty, your way of thinking, which is supposed to be always backed up, supported by these two, definitely you are under the clutch, under the spell of these two. And that's why you are not able to see what is there in front of you, but always you try to see through your habits, through your imagination. Okay, now let us go next verse. Atmajnanat yatha nasti rajjujnanat bhujangamah yatha doshavatat shuklaha yatha doshavasat shuklaha pito bhavati nanyatha ajnanadosadatmapi ajnanadosadatmapi jagat bhavati dustajyam atmajnanat yatha nasti rajjujnanat bhujangamah yatha doshavasat shuklaha pito bhavati nanyatha ajnanadosadatmapi jagat bhavati dustyajyam. Says beautifully. Yatha atma okay yatha rajju jnanat bhujangama nasti. Once you have the knowledge of rope, then automatically the superimposed snake will disappear. So, as through knowledge of the rope, the superimposed snake disappears. Similarly, what happens? It says beautifully, Atmajnanat. So, through the self-knowledge, the reality of world disappears, not destroys, remember. So, when there is no self-knowledge, or when the self is erroneous, or when you look at yourself differently, accordingly, again, world appears. Gives another example that yatha doshavat vashat shuklaha pita bhavati. So there is a disease we call Kamala Roga, called jaundice. So when there is jaundice, what happens? The shukla, the white objects, also appears yellowish because of jaundice. So everything will appear as though yellow. So you will come to conclusion that look, the whole world is yellow. And of course you need to verify with another person or few other people, then only you understand, oh, you have jaundice. So because of jaundice, gives a beautiful two types of example. One is internal, other one is external. So when there is jaundice, so white objects appears as though yellowish. And of course, similarly what happens? Through the influence of ignorance, self appears only as a diversified world. That's why what is to be done? That's why the beautiful concept brings it, that ajnana dosad atmapi jagad bhavati dustajyatam. It's not that easy. Please understand. It is very difficult. It's one type of disease. So ignorance being a disease, we need to really manage, we need to get rid of it. It is not that easy. Dustajyatam. It is very difficult to get rid of. Whereas it can be resolved. How it can be resolved? Only by self-knowledge, by the knowledge of one's own self. not by any other means. Now on the other hand. So if you look at this example, nothing much to talk. The example itself explains clearly. This erroneous observation, erroneous sight, not only happens mentally, also happens physically. Even though all these objects are white, but because of a particular disease called jaundice, definitely influence of that, everything looks yellow. In fact, whole life becomes yellow. The person's body slowly becomes yellowish. It's another thing. Let us not get into the complication part of it. But which is truth, we need to look at. So also the ignorance. The level of that ignorance that you have, based on that, not only your way of thinking, but also your body, your energy, your way of functioning, everything matches. That's why in Bhagavad Gita beautifully, Lord Krishna said, Nitya, please understand this is the most important thing. Nitya Sattustava. If you observe yourself, this being tamasic is very simple. You have to put effort from tamasic to become rajasic. And of course, when you become rajasic, there are two levels of rajasic. You can say 3 levels, also nothing wrong in it. One is being rajasic supported by tamasic. Only being rajasic supported by rajasic, and being rajasic supported by sattvic. So there are 3 layers. So you keep jumping, you need to put effort. Then once sattva becomes secondary, rajas become primary, that is the last final rajasic. Then slowly what you do, sattva should be predominant. Then rajasic aspect should be secondary. So that means that time you get it triggered. This is a beautiful state of mind. That is how the sadhaka keeps moving. So that when sattva is predominant, but rajas is secondary, you can see how you move in your life. I'll just divert a little bit time here, how it works in life. First, you are tamas. Everything is tamas. So when everything is tamas, literally you are lazy, lethargy. In fact, you don't move. So I know none of you are in this stage, don't worry. Thank God. But second is, okay, sometimes you are because you don't feel like moving, you know, okay, let it be, who is doing, what is happening. Second is, tamas is predominant, rajas is secondary. So when tamas is predominant, rajas is secondary, especially when you are under the influence of any worries and anxieties or any depression. Little bit you get up, do few things, again go back. Little bit you think positively for 1 minute or 2 minutes, again go back. So that is very common, as you know. Then comes slowly where you become rajasic primarily, predominantly rajasic, now secondarily tamasic. So there what happens, mainly common people, these 2 levels. So okay, you do this thing, then something happens, push. Then those who are called achievers wants to prove, they go to one more step ahead. Rajasic, rajasic. And slowly becomes rajasic. Please understand, secondarily rajasic, but primarily, predominantly sattvic. That is something where you enjoy your calmness, quietude, at the same time you are well focused. Especially most of the leaders supposed to be. Whereas when a leader becomes a rajasic becomes a detector. Doesn't care anybody anything, just keeps doing whatever wants to do it. Always a volcano decides what wants, that's all. Then later on comes, as you start seeing it, Sattvic is predominant, Rajasic is secondary. That is called, life, really to enjoy. And slowly, Sattvic should be predominant and Sattvic should be secondary. That is what Lord Krishna said in Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. Approach towards Nitya Sattvic, Nitya Swastha Bhava. So be predominantly in your life, predominantly Rajas Sattvic, secondary also Sattvic. Then you will see the difference. This is called a gradual process, and you can feel, you can look at yourself how you are moving it. So that's what he says beautifully, that because of this influence, you can see now this world appears differently, and you cannot get rid of ignorance just like that. Doing bhajan, doing japam, doing any sort of pranayama, doing anything, it is difficult. Yes, you can subside, you can play, you can manage for time being, but long run you cannot. Only it can happen when it is resolved. Please understand, only it can be resolved by the help of self-knowledge, not by any other means. Okay, let us look at how gives this point. Doshanase yatha shuklah, 44. Doshanase yatha shuklah gruhyate roginam swayam shukla jnana tatha jnana. Okay, I will take one straight away. Shukla jnana tatha jnana nasadatma tatha kruta. It's difficult to split in between. Doshanase yatha shuklah gruhyate rogina swayam shukla jnana tatha jnana nasadatma tatha kruta. Says Doshanase yatha shukla. So if a person is having jaundice, so that is a disease. Once that disease is being taken care, if that disease is being removed, if that disease is destroyed, then what happens? The patient doesn't have to do anything. Again, the object will appear as it is. The white color will appear as it was earlier. The patient doesn't have to do anything because it was white, it is white, it will be white. It was only because of the disease. There was a layer of filter in front of the eyes, yellowish layer, so that's why it was appearing everything as though yellow. So to make the world appear to white, this person doesn't have to do anything other than removing that disease. This is the point is being highlighted very clearly. So also, to see this world, please understand what we should do. We need to resolve this ignorance. Unless and until this ignorance is being resolved, and of course the ignorance how to be removed? By self-knowledge. Because when there is ignorance with reference to self, only self-knowledge can help. But now remember all the methods that people teach. Do this, your ignorance will be removed. Do this, your ignorance will be removed. Is it possible? Yes, all these things are helpful, useful, definitely, to make your mind available, to discipline your mind. All these methods, whatever people talk, is required, nothing wrong in it, all are right. All these things are required to train my mind, to discipline my mind up to that. Once my mind is disciplined, once my mind is available, it's exactly, we say very nicely, very carefully. Let us say there is some type of problem in this body. This body needs to be operated. Because the disease is there, that particular thing is there, that has to be really, you have to go to a surgeon and remove it. What you should do? Now, directly you cannot. Because before going for surgery, So surgeon will ask, how is your BP? How is your diabetic? How is your this, that? So all the parameters have to be checked. Unless and until all the parameters are okay, will any surgeon do operation? I am sure no. So the primary job of a surgeon is to make sure all the parameters are okay. So once all the parameters are okay, if not okay, we'll give medicine, we'll ask do this, do that, lot of things, we'll delay. Once all your parameters are okay, then they will only take you to the surgery room, operation theatre. Then they will give what? Called anesthesia. And remember, giving anesthesia is not going to solve the problem either. As long as you are under the influence of anesthesia, that long you are perfect. The moment that dose, that impact goes away, comes down, then what happens? Again your problem comes back. Remember, all the tricks and techniques that is available in this world, it is up to the anesthesia. Some people helps you to bring down your BP, just example sake. Some people helps you to bring down your diabetic. Some people helps you to control your other aspects, other parameters. And some people also makes you to be, not to be reactive, even if there is pain or pleasure. All these things are really great. We need that. But remember, the problem that we have, if we want to really resolve to get rid of it, we need to know ourselves. Or else what will happen? The way they teach, or the way they try to project, then we'll hold on to another aspect of the ignorance. So that's why he says beautifully, as it happens with reference to this jaundice, also here you need to see yourself to understand. Okay, he says beautifully. Next verse also goes like this. Once it happens, how it changes the life completely. Kalatrayepi nayatha rajju sarpo bhavediti tathatmana bhaved vishwam gunatito niranjana. Kalatrayepi nayatha rajju sarpo bhavediti tathatmana bhaved vishwam gunatito niranjana. So beautiful. So how, this is called knowledge. It is not like, some people will say, look, so in your child, this is one concept. When you were in the mother's womb, so always you were praying to God. In fact, you knew. Then when you were born, you forgot yourself. That's why all the problem happens. So life has you have forgotten the God. That's why whole life you have to remember God. So by remembering God, you will know it. That is one big philosophy going on. It was earlier, now also repackaged in a different way. In fact, some of the religion is based on this concept. So that means what? So every now and then you have to remind yourself, because you again forget. If this is the case, please, better I should not know that knowledge. That means always somebody has to remind me myself. So I need a tape recorder. That's why they keep the guru to remind themselves all the time. You understand? And of course, some people, what they do is, they make sure there are lockets of their guru. Please understand, I am not criticizing anybody, please. Their guru's locket, because guru should protect me. And of course, some people put different type of lockets with the cross, with om, with this, with that. See, I am not critical of anyone, please understand. If you want to, respect yourself, absolute no problem. But through this, one should not be dependent. Nothing wrong in it having guru's locket, nothing wrong in having your ideal's locket, nothing wrong in it, absolute nothing wrong. But it should remind you, or it should help you to express your gratitude, not dependent. Unless and until you put this, you are not complete, you are not okay. That is not right thing to happen. That's why he says beautifully that Kalatrayepi na yatha raju sarpo bhaved iti. As the rope jnanam comes, once you understand this is a rope, that will never become a snake. As long as rope jnanam is not there, the knowledge of the rope is not clear, it will keep fluctuating. Once rope jnanam comes, snake jnanam or the snake will falsify all the time. And that too, remember, in 3 periods of time. Even if in your imagination you say, oh, there was no snake. In fact, it was my projection. Means the snake was not there. Now is not there. Also will not be there. Can you see this concept, how it works? It is not that you were somebody, then because of me you became somebody. So you were a finite person, you were a sinner. This is the best example. I am sorry to bring this example. You are a sinner. Now because you are associated with me, now you are no more a sinner. This is not knowledge. This is just to cheat people. So you are an ordinary person. You are finite. Now because of this knowledge you become infinite. It's not like that. You were infinite. Now you are infinite. Also you will be infinite. Yes, only there is a problem you did not know. Once you know, that's why we say, That's why we say enlightenment means looking at your past and referring or saying, just seeing how stupid you were. Realizing one's own stupidity is called realization. The more you realize your stupidity, the more you are a realized person. That's why the one who is realized never announces the world, I am realized. Unless you are an idiot or you want to create a new religion. Only idiots and those who want to be create a new religion or wants to be really create a new industry or new approach, they only announce that I am a realized person or I realized in such and such date or in such and such way also. So that's why it says beautifully, as it happens, Tatha Atma na bhavet Vishwa gunatito niranjanaha. Says beautifully, so the self which is free from all qualities, neither it is tamas, nor it is rajas, nor it is sattva. That's why being free from all qualities, now you need to be always sattva predominantly, then only you will appreciate. That's why, and being pure, what happens? Now it never becomes universe. But unfortunately, I am in tamasic stage. Predominantly tamasic, secondarily rajasic. Or sometimes predominantly rajasic, secondarily tamasic. I want to say, look, universe is free from me, or I want to be free from universe. It is not possible. That's why the lifestyle is very important. Keeping all these things in mind, I was very strict in the last class, how and why, you might have seen it. We will see in the last verse, so that we'll understand for today, because after this we have to stop there, because as we don't have any other material. Verse number 46. Agamapaino nitya nasyattvene suradaya atmabodhena kenapi sastradetat vinishchitam. Agamapaino nitya nasyattvene suradaya atmabodhena kenapi sastrat etat vinishchitam. Says beautiful. This is something to be really understood. You don't have to worry about this heaven, about anything in life. That is how it's being said. some wise people, and of course those who are well versed in scripture. After receiving this self-knowledge, knowing themselves very well, they have declared very clearly. He says, don't worry, that even if Ishwaradaya, Devatas like Indras, etc., those who are in the heaven, they are also temporary. They are holding a post. Because of the knowledge, they are different. But to become a god is also a post, is a temporary. That's why they are subject to birth and death. So today somebody is a king of gods called Indra. After few thousands or millions years, that person will be changed. That's why we have the name of all the suns. So each sun we have different Adityas, remember. For each we have names, because all are temporarily posted. In fact, in their previous lives, they must have done a lot of tapas to gain this status. That's why always I say, including to be a top politician, to be a leader, that person must have done a lot of tapas in his previous or in her previous life. Because of that reason, the person today is enjoying. In short, whatever you have, if you are an influential person, if really you have some vibhuti, which talks in vibhuti yoga in Bhagavad Gita, if you have any vibhuti, vibhuti means extraordinary thing, which really attracts people, people are attracted towards that. That vibhuti is nothing but manifestation of God. And remember, that vibhuti comes to you because you must have done something in your previous life. Unless and until you have done something in your previous life, the vibhuti will not come to you. That's why we say, appreciate others' vibhuti. Whatever the person is extraordinary, whatever is extra in person, whatever is really attracts the person, or everybody gets attracted towards a person, that has to be respected, that has to be really looked at as the manifestation of God. So what he wants to highlight here is, please understand, only Atma Bodha, only the knowledge of one's own self will make you eternal. All other things, whatever you do, is not going to make you eternal either. That's why even if the gods of God, the king of gods called Indra, all these people also subject to death and birth. They also really go through destruction, especially when the pralaya comes, when this kalpa comes to an end. So that means what? You don't have much choice other than looking at yourself, other than understanding yourself. More of it we'll see tomorrow. Please close your eyes. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.